Hello, angels. Welcome to today's lesson, lesson 4 in our unit on decimals. I hope you're all well. I also hope that your families are safe and sound and okay as well. So again, just to remind you of the Year 5 website where you can use to submit your work. And as I said earlier on in previous lessons, you can also submit any inquiries about the learning or any questions relating to anything on your mind that you wish to discuss. For today's lesson, we're going to be rounding decimals to the nearest whole number and to one decimal place. So I've got some website which you're familiar with already, Bitesize and Top Marks, where you can go to because I've mentioned that they have fantastic resources and they're all free. So where you can play game, place value charts, practice your decimals, practice your fractions that we've done previously, your multiplication and division, all the units that we've covered and all the units we're going to cover in future. It's a great website. And like I said, it's free. So you can actually play all the different games either by yourself or with the people at your home as well. That way it's more interactive. So today we're looking at rounding. Again, let me remind you that at any point in time, you are more than welcome to pause the video if you need further clarification on anything that I've said, or you just want to go back and check again. So we're doing rounding. Now you all know how to round because I've seen you guys do this in class. Now you'll remember that when we're rounding, if the number is less than 4, we round down. And if the number is more than 5, we round up. So here I've got an example of the number 30 and also the number 40. And then we have 32, 35, and 38. And now you can see with the arrows, 32 is closer to 30. And also because the number 2 is less than 4, we round down. 35 is 5 and over, so we round up, and that's closer to 40. And then, of course, 38, the number 8 is 5 and over, so we round up. So today we're going to be looking at rounding in decimals. Now, here's your inquiry for today. What does rounding to the nearest whole number mean? And also, how does number line support your understanding of rounding? So I would like you to answer these two questions. Just jot them down on a piece of paper and then have your adult take a picture and email it to us just so I can see what you think. So rounding decimals. Rounding decimals is exactly the same thing we do when we're rounding whole numbers. So you find the place that you need to round and then you go to the next number. 4, you go down. Anything with 4 and less, you go down. Anything with 5 and above, and you go up. So here's an example of rounding decimals. So we are going to be rounding 5,000.1731 to the nearest hundredth. So step 1, you identify the given place value. So we know that this is the hundredth column. So this is where we're going to be rounding. Then the next step, you look to the number next to that number. Okay, this is the thousandths column. And then it's number 3. So if you remember, if it's 4 and less, we round down. And if it's 5 and up, we go up. So the number is 3, so we round down. And it's been rounded down. So we now have 5.170. And you can write it as 5.17. And that's simply how you round up or down when you're looking at decimals. So when rounding to the nearest one decimal place, how many digits will there be after the decimal point? So today we're doing rounding to one decimal place. And all that simply means is this. When you are rounding, you just need one number after the decimal place. So if you're rounding, if you have a number here in the ones column, on the units column, then you have your decimal point. It just means one number after the decimal. That's what one decimal place means. If it said 2 decimal places, it just means 2 numbers after the decimals and so on. So rules for rounding decimals. Again, just to repeat that. So you look to the digit to the right of the number that you need to round. And if the digit is 4 and less, you go down. And if the digit is 5 and up, you round up. So for example, 4.3 to the nearest whole number will be 4. Whole numbers are the numbers before the decimals. So we have our ones, our tens, and hundreds, and so on. Those are the whole numbers. And then we have the decimals because they're whole numbers. Yes, and you know that anything after the decimal is a fraction or a part. So if we had 4.3, the nearest whole number will be 4 because this is 3, so we have to round down. 0.263 to the nearest tenth. So you go to the number that you need to round, which is the 10th column, and that's the number 2 here. And then we go to the next column, which is 6, which means we round up. And that's how you have 0.3. Round 9.875 to the nearest hundredth. So that's the 10th column with the 8, and that's the hundredths column with the 7th. And we know we go right next door to the next number, and that's a 5, which means we round up. So the number will be 9.88. So round the underlying digit. So 18.44 round to the whole number will be 18. 0.849. So we're just rounding the digit that's been underlined. So this is a 4. And then you go to the number next door, which is a 9. So that's more than 5, which means we round up. And then we have 0.85. 19.775. So we look at this digit, it's a 7. We go next door. It's 5, which means we round up. So we end up with 19.78. 4.004. This is the digit that we need to round. And of course, it's less than 4. So we just end up with the whole number 4. And it's really as simple as that. We've done a lot of this in class anyway, so I'm sure you all remember this very well. So round off to 1 decimal place. So let's try a few of these. I've got my paper. So remember, 1 decimal place is just 1 number after the decimal. So we have our unit, and then we have the numbers after the decimal. So I'll draw a line. So this is the number I need to round. Then I go next door, and I can see that 8 is 5 and over, which means I can round up. So that means that this then becomes 0.4. Next one, 6.38 kg. So I put a line because I'm rounding 1 decimal place, only 1. Then I go next door and I look at the number, and it's 8. So 8 is bigger than 5, which means I round up. So this now becomes 6.4 kg. Next one, 54.09. So I put my line because I want to have 1 decimal place. And then, of course, this is a 0, and then I go next door. It's a 9, so anything 5 and over, I round up. So this becomes 54.1. Last one, 1.7461. 1 decimal place, I put a line there. Now I go next door and I look at the number. 4 and under, I round down, which means this then becomes 1.7. And there you have it. Simple as that. So before you go to the task, so just to remind you again that rounding 1 decimal place simply means just 1 number after the decimal. Okay, so I have 4. Got it. I just wanted to make sure you can see that. So I've got 4 tasks here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'd like you to pause the video and practice with this 4 rounding. And then, of course, get your adult to take a picture of this and then submit it to us via email. Now, once you've done that, then you can go to the task. And of course, you know how to find the task. You go to the link. And as usual, I've given you word problems extra. So complete your task, get your adults to mail it in, and then we'll go from there. And well done, everybody who's been working so hard. Well done. One last thing before you go. I wanted to remind you all to make sure that you're reading daily. Read, read, read every day. You're all at home now. You all have opportunities to read. Try and make time and read anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Books, comics, magazines, flyers, whatever you have at home, read and read out loud. Read to your adults, and also, if it's possible, let your adults read to you as well. Okay? Take care.